Hello and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this week's new episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and friend Kay Asante should be joining us momentarily. Man, I gotta tell you, Hargit, it's great to have you back. The last week has been tough for Xbox. It has been a very up and down kind of time. Obviously, it started last Wednesday where we covered the price increase. A lot of us thought that there was going to be some sort of reverse engines moment that we saw, and that didn't happen. We got the new information from the EU where if you are someone that stays subscribed, you're not going to get the price increase unless you are a new customer. The email that was thought to be a bit nefarious turned out to be legitimate. So if you are in the EU and you are going to be and you don't have Game Pass, if you subscribe newly, you're going to be charged the new $29.99 for Ultimate and the other corresponding prices. If you are someone that has auto renewal and you consistently are paying, you stay at that price. So I mean, again, shout out to our European friends, gamers. Good on you for sure. So the way I wanted to take tonight's show was to try and keep it positive, folks, because again, it's very easy to slide down the negative pole and right now, like I said, there's been a lot of anti Xbox rhetoric out there, and it gets tiresome. As a content creator that does this 5 days a week, nobody wants to continue to talk about about negativity. We want to talk about positive. And right now, positivity is something that even though Xbox has kind of stepped on a couple of rakes, I still think that there is a lot left on the table to be excited about. I mean, look, folks, if you just look at the remainder of the year, there are 4 major first-party games coming out. So welcome, Harkeet. How you feeling, brother?
Yeah. I am not in the doom and gloom mode. I don't care. I'm having fun. I think people have taken it way too far. I mean, I was annoyed by the price increase, but I don't look at it as like the end of gaming. And shout out to Paris with his usual trolling. I love it. Xbox is doomed, bro. Pass sucks. Get PS Plus and PS5. Yep, having fun. Yeah, I mean, look, we've had a whole bunch of gyrations. We can certainly get into. Oh, there's KSate. Hey, I don't know if Boom is here to actually switch it.
Yeah,
oh, there we
go.
go.
Yeah, we go. I'm back.
Yeah. So maybe we can introduce KSate and then we can get into the topic.
Well, we'll get into it. Kay, how you doing, brother? You're wearing an Xbox shirt. Congratulations on that, brother. You're still keeping it a buck. There you go.
How you doing? How's everybody
Good.
going? I'm happy to be here. I'm so sorry I'm late. Life happens. It's one of those things.
Indeed it does.
Yeah, it is what it is. What's the topic? What's going on?
Well, the topic of conversation is going to be keeping it a buck with Xbox. Like, there's a lot to get excited about. And I do want to get into just keeping it positive, trying to talk about what's happening for the remainder of the year. And ultimately the question that I want to pose to the community as well as to you is can people still be positive about Xbox? Now I know that we're not, and the one thing I want to just kind of get out in front of is I know there's going to be some people that say, well, I don't trust them, Boom. They've changed too many times. They've gone back on words. People keep bringing up the 4 games thing with Phil. You got to go back and you got to watch that interview in its entirety, and you can see what he says that confirms that if things go well, that it's going to be more than 4 games. I think that even though the prices did go up on console, on their services, there is a lot going on for Xbox that I think that we can be as a community positive about. You have new hardware releasing next week, ladies and gentlemen. Now, granted, you're going to get some people to keep pushing back and be like, well, it's not an Xbox. Well, it's funny. The case that Asus says that is selling says this is an Xbox. I mean, if that's all you needed to be reminded of such, then there's your answer. But you have two pieces of hardware, and you have 4 AAA games, and then maybe one's not AAA. Double Fine, it's a smaller game. It's probably a double A from them, but it looks like it's going to be something special. And I honestly can't wait to get my hands on that. But gentlemen, it's great to have you here. Chat, we got already have 200 people here. I did have some game footage that just literally finished, and I'm gonna throw it in there because I keep trying to sell Alien Rogue Incursion. And obviously, I'm gonna tell you this right now, folks. If you play this in VR, expect a coronary. I don't know how you I'm telling you right now, like I don't know how you could legitimately play this. So let me just add that footage real quick because I have it here, and it actually just finished getting in HD. Do this and just so let me just remove that, folks, and check it out. Yeah, again, you'll have us on the bottom of the screen. I want to show you off this game because I really think if you are a fan of Aliens, of Predators, you should definitely check this out. But look, Hargeet, I'm going to go to you first on this because again, we do have 2 topics that we're going to get into, and I want to start with the positive one because there is on the second half of the show, there is a report that came the way of Matt Piscatella, where it has been confirmed, at least through the last quarter, that the average game purchase from the normies is 2 games, is 2 whole games per year. And that really does kind of put a magnifying glass on the industry. And of course, with Game Pass being what it is, I really kind of wanted to, kind of just float the idea is Game Pass responsible for the industry woes? And of course, we know that's not true. That's not what some people are. Yeah, you laugh, but you're laughing, but some people will say so.
God.
No, it's funny, but you know what? Let's talk about Xbox Game Pass and first party. There are 4 games coming out this year for the remainder of the year. The big one is Call of Duty Black Ops 7. And I know that there's been a lot of pushback about it being, not as important or sought after because of some of the conversation that comes out. And there is excitement for Battlefield 6 for sure. I really think that game is going to hit because Vince Impella has been at the forefront of that. And I really think that whatever he puts his hands on turns to gold. So I expect it to launch and work really well. But you have you have Battlefield coming out, but from first party, you have Black Ops 7. It is going to be another big game. And of course, this month alone, you have Keeper, which I really think is going to be super special. It just looks enchanting. It's Double Fine. They don't really ever, they never miss with their games. And of course, you have Ninja Gaiden 4, and you also have The Outer Worlds 2, which every time I see that game, it looks better and better. And I think that could be a Game of the Year contender. It looks that good. So the question, and of course, we'll keep it a buck with the first party. But right now, there are a lot of people in the Xbox community that are down. Right, they're down on the brand because of everything that's gone on. And listen, the price increase kind of soured a lot of people, man. It really did, and for good reason. When it comes to when you put it into perspective, a 50% price increase, again, it potentially prices out some people. But even with the negativity, I still think, though, I want this to be clear, folks. When I say the value, it's valuable. When I tell you that the $30 is worth the price of admission, I am strictly talking about myself on how I use Xbox Game Pass. Now, if you don't use or play as many games in the service as I do, then maybe the $30 is not worth it for you, and then you need to make a decision. I'm not defending the mega corporation. I'm saying that for me as a consumer, I don't like the $30 price point, and I have not paid the $30 price point, and I probably never will because I will try and do my damnedest as a good consumer to get it for less. And I suggest that other people do the same thing. But Hargeet, let's talk about it, man.
All right, so the positive side of it, right? Like because there's plenty of negatives. But yeah, so look, I still think there's to me it's great, but that just, like you pointed out, depends on what kind of games you play, how many things you'll play in a given year, how much time you have for gaming. If you don't have the time, look, this is a great service for somebody who wants to dabble in a lot of games. That's me. I play like every time. So when there's a new game, there's a whole bunch of games coming out like every couple of weeks, right? That they add in. I say download all, download every one of them, right? And I give them a chance if I can find the time. And I try to do that, especially before they leave. I try to give every game a chance. If it hooks me, cool. I'll try to finish it. If I can't, I'll buy it, right? If it's that good, right? Otherwise, I just let it go, right? So I dabble with a lot of games. I'll probably end up playing 150 to 200 games a year. Something ridiculous, right? Most people won't do that. Fine. That's totally fair. If, like you pointed out, if you buy 2 games a year, now to be fair, that was two games at full price at launch.
Right.
Okay. And so this is the real message for the industry who doesn't want to understand this. You bumped the price up to $70. You then decided, oh, maybe $80. We should flirt with that. People decided they're not going to pay $70. They decided they're going to wait, or they're just not going to buy. That's an industry problem. You guys did that. The other part of it is there's free-to-play games. They'd rather just engage with that. You decided to push the games to $70. Volumes went down. It's noticeable. It's very obvious.
Yeah.
Volumes of sales went down. That's a industry problem. They decided to bump the cost up by $10. And lo and behold, people didn't want to buy. It is what it is. That's a choice people make. They're going to be selective when you decide to bump things up. That's the way it goes. So why, for me, the $10 a month is way better because I get so much value out of it. But that's me. I get value out of it because I try everything. Most people probably don't. They're looking for big blockbusters. You're not going to get that outside of first party. Very rare that you're going to get a big blockbuster game in Game Pass day and date. It's too much of a hit for the publisher, right? So it's likely you're going to get smaller games, double A's, Expedition 33, things like that, right? You're going to get those kind of games and a bunch of indies. Fair enough, outside of first party. And of course, Xbox first party is a very, very extensive catalog because they're probably the biggest publisher of gaming. So is there stuff to be excited about on Xbox? Well, look, all those third-party games are still coming. You can still decide to buy them. It's up to you to decide if you like those games or not. I'm still excited for a whole bunch of games that are coming out. Let's not forget there's a little big game coming out, GTA, coming next year, just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Along with the 25th anniversary and like the entire catalog of like the Xbox bigs are coming next year. Come on, there's so much to be excited about, right? I don't know about the PlayStation side, whatever. I am expecting big things from Nintendo, though, because I didn't get my mainline Mario or Zelda. I'm waiting for that announcement next year. They did give us Donkey Kong. They had Metroid Prime coming. Fair enough. But I'm looking for that big mainline Mario or Zelda game to come next year. That alone is going to be worth the price of entry for me because I love those games, right? So, but I'm sure they'll have a bunch. They usually have 8 to 10. They had 8 to 10 this year. They just do. They somehow manage to pull off, about 10 games every year, first party. So they'll do that, I'm sure, right? And look, I it's just me. I don't play all the other ones because they still have like a Pokemon, right? They have that. It's a huge game. What's the other big one they had? They announced Fire Emblem.
Fire Emblem's another big one,
right?
Yeah.
And that's another huge game. I get it. It's just not things I've played, and I don't know if they're great. Whatever. Yotai's doing great well, I don't know if it's doing great sales wise. It's doing great critics wise. I don't know what
it did very well. A lot of people really loving it.
So looking forward to that next year. I assume it'll come to PC next year. So I will play that. So that's kind of the place we're in over there. Wolverine slated for next year, right? Looking like it could potentially be pretty good,
fall,
right?
So probably holiday, if you're a betting kind of a guy.
Right. So again, like we have so many things to look forward to, right? Plenty of other games that I'm not mentioning. There's so much stuff coming out. 2026 is going to be stacked again. Plenty of things to look forward to. I don't know why it should be negative. Like these price increases happen. This isn't the end of gaming. Like We should still. This is supposed to be fun. Like, how
Yeah.
many times do people care about like the cost of a Blu-ray going up? Like, I pay like $30-$40 for freaking 4K Blu-rays. It's expensive as hell. I barely even watch them. But like, do people complain? Do people say, "Oh my God, movies are dead? They're dead"? Like, dude, whatever. Watch if you want. You don't. Fine. Like, this whole thing has just become so overblown. Yes, increases suck, but that doesn't mean you don't consume. It's up to you. If you want it, play. If you don't want it, don't play. It's so disappointing that the entirety of things become about how negative and how much people need to pile on, especially when it comes to Xbox. I don't see the same energy when it comes to the other platforms. I know we all called out the $80 Mario Kart. That goddamn game sold a lot of copies. That's just the way it is. Can complain.
Kind of knew that you kind of knew it was going to sell, right? Like, I mean, obviously,
yeah. I said it outright. They're going to win. There's no way around it. Mario Kart's going to sell. It doesn't matter. $80, $80, whatever. It's going to sell. And it did. It's just the way it is. Right. So look, I would love games to cost $5. That's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. We have to live with the reality. But should you be enthusiastic? If you like gaming, there's a lot of stuff coming. A lot of stuff. Enjoy it. Like, how privileged are we to be able to play video games? Imagine like 1,000 years ago. This doesn't exist. It does not exist. We live in a time when we can do this. We should enjoy it instead of complain. If you can't afford it, I get it. But guess what? This is an expensive hobby. Not a lot of people have $500, $1,000 to go buy consoles. Not a lot of people have $100, $80 to buy these games. It is what it is. We are in a luxury position to have that option. It's great. If you can't afford it, I feel for you. There's a lot of the world who doesn't have this stuff, right? It's interesting. Sarah Bond made this interesting point that like they thought it was going to be untenable for people in areas where there isn't a lot of cloud infrastructure,
right,
for people to play these games because the latency would be bad. And they're like, what ended up happening is they're like, I have no access, period. So even having shit access, sorry, pardon my French, is better than no access. So they actually embraced it. And they're like, yes, I would rather have that than not have it at all. That's the love, like the world that we live in, where we complain about the. Just imagine being in a world where you have nothing, no way of doing this at all. And they're like, I'll take the crappy cloud option with latency coming all the way from a different continent. They're happy to do that because they're like, at least I get to play. Because outside of that, they're watching YouTube videos. That's the best they got. We should just be so happy that we get to do this stuff. And unfortunately, we're always in the negative. And I get that people should complain when things are outside of the norms and you get these pricing. I get that. But always reflect on how blessed you are. Just reflect on how blessed you are. And then remember, this is for fun. It's okay.
Supposed to be anyway.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
Enjoy life. We take things way too far, way too seriously, and way too negative on top of the pile-ons that always happen for Xbox. It's like, calm down. We should be having fun.
I mean, look, I'm going to say this. And look, there's going to be somebody in the chat, or there's going to be somebody that watches the on the replay and says, yeah, look at this bot. Of course he's excited. He's a bot. But I don't think that is just it's as cut and dry, black and white, whatever analogy you want to use. I have all three consoles, ladies and gentlemen. I buy games for all three consoles. Now, granted, if you look at my buying habits, I do buy a lot of games off the cuff, like for everything. I buy a lot of Switch games, a lot of them. The console I spend less on is PlayStation because I only use it for their first party. And something like Ghost of Yotai, as much as I said I was going to get it and get into it, I'm inundated with games. Like I didn't buy Metal Gear. I didn't buy Silent Hill F. I'm hoping that Silent Hill 2 remake gets announced tomorrow. I thought it would be today on the actual 1-year anniversary because we know that game is officially going to be coming to other consoles, but PlayStation had the year exclusivity, and there were at least 10 to 15 games that I did buy that I just haven't even played. Like I picked up Mario Galaxy 1 and 2, and I really want to play that game, and I have not even cracked it open. So when Ghost of Yotai came out, I'm like, you know what? If I buy it and I'm going to buy the deluxe edition, I'm just throwing my money away. So I decided to, take a consumer, forward-facing, way of being, and I'm just not buying as many games. I'll buy like roguelites that are like $8, but I'm not going to spend $80 on something that I know I'm not going to play. But Hargeet is right. I do think that there are, yes. Has there been a bunch of negativity? There absolutely has. Has the price gone up? Did that shock a lot of people? It really did. When we first heard the rumor of the price increase, I actually had someone DM me, and again, I don't talk, we don't talk, out of line here about who's the one that DM'd me, but I got two prices. I got a $5 increase, and I said, okay, $5 is still not good, but at least it's not going to be 10, and it wind up being 10, right? So, look, we're going to get into a topic that I know that wasn't on the docket, but Hargeet was saying something in the green room, and I kind of want to address it a little bit, and that's the Lena Khan situation. I know she's been out here showboating, and I have some thoughts, and I believe that Hargeet has some thoughts that runs parallel to mine, because ultimately, you know what, we'll save it. But Asante, let's bring you in, because look, it's super easy to be negative. And look, if you folks, just take a step back for a second, right? This is I'm not trying to plant any trees or win any arguments here. But the truth of the matter is that negativity for Xbox is super easy, and it's super sellable. You see all of the content creators that are anti-Xbox creators, they make a bunch of money because they talk bad about Xbox, and all it takes usually is one rake step. And this was a rake step, and obviously the price increase, we're all pissed off, and we're all saying what we have to say. Some are saying the right thing, like I've been doing. That again, for me personally, the value is there, but I would never sign off on an increase on anything, because I'm a consumer first. But with all of the negativity that has been surrounding Xbox, first it was the price increase, then it was the running rumor of Phil Spencer paying off creators for a good Xbox news, which is the most unbelievable, ridiculous thing I've ever heard, right? And then, of course, you also get, where's
my check?
Well, I haven't gotten a check yet, so there you go. But the other, obviously, you had the big rumor come out over the weekend of Sneakers SO, where he basically confirmed that from his sources, there are not going to be any new hardware, which we know was a lot of horse, because they signed a 10-year deal with AMD, and you just don't back out of these contracts. It's not the way business works, ladies and gentlemen. So there has been a cloud of negativity, but I still think that even though some of it was false, like the fact that they canceled next generation consoles, or that it was quote unquote up in the air, for me as a gamer, right, I look at what Microsoft first party or Xbox Game Studios is going to be delivering for first of all, the first 3/4 of the year that's gone past has been incredible. They have put not only outstanding first party games, but they have really filled Xbox Game Pass with not just filler, not just games that nobody cares about. They have put some bangers in there, some of which are going to be at the Game of the Year conversation. Expedition 33 is a perfect example of that. Silk Song is another example of that. Blueprint is another one that's going to be potentially a Game of the Year contender. These were all in Game Pass day and date. And now what we have facing us as gamers is you're going to have to find the time to play whatever you're currently playing. Then you have to factor in, you got Keeper from Double Fine. You got Ninja Gaiden coming on, Ninja Gaiden 4. You also have The Outer Worlds 2. And then, of course, you have Black Ops 7. And that is, I mean, think about that. That's just in a matter of 2 months, man. Like that is
Yeah.
insane. So there is a lot to be positive about. I want to get your thoughts on this, man.
So I guess I am somewhere in between the two of you guys when it comes to this, because I feel like when Game Pass started as a value proposition, maybe they did themselves a disservice because they were too good, because it was a very good deal, and obviously as time has gone on, it has shown its value more and more, right? They've been fiddling with it, they've been experimenting with it. Oh, how much should we put in, how much are the consumers responding, and all of that, right? The thing that I think is a little troubling, that's the best way I can put it. What is troubling is you sold the consumer on the idea that this is the best deal in gaming, which it is, right? But it is so good that now they are eroding some of that little by little, right? Does it change the fact that it's still the best deal? Obviously not. Like if you're as Hargeet has already pointed out, it depends on the type of gamer you are. If you are the type of gamer that plays a lot of variations of games, if you like dabbling in a lot of games, this thing is still second to none, right? And I'm similarly like you. I play a lot of games. I touch on a lot of games. I like to graze, as it were. So for me, it's still valuable, but it is worth noting that the value proposition that they initially brought everyone in on has changed. And what's notable for me is not necessarily that the prices increase, because obviously prices increase. Prices will always increase. And this is a subscription service. If you have not seen a subscription service price increase, then you have not lived in this world in the last, I don't know, 20 years, right? Like prices will always increase. But the percentage by which they increased it makes me go, they're kind of taking their consumer base for granted a little bit, right? They're playing a little loosey goosey with what they think they can get away with the consumer base a little. And to me, that's a troubling slippery slope. Does it mean that it's a terrible deal for gaming? No, of course not. It's still very, very good, right? Look around, compare it, right? And unfortunately, I think that may be one of the side effects of it. Everybody kept going, yo, this is the greatest deal in gaming. And they went, well, it kind of is, isn't it? Let's fix that a little bit, right? That seems to be the unfortunate side effect of what happened here.
Well, I don't know if you heard Mag on Mag and Colt's show on Colt's
Monday show,
XNT.
yeah.
But Mag got some like inside scoop on what really did it. And it was exactly what I said. It was $8 to $30 a month in extra cost for Xbox.
So you were right on the cloud part. Yeah.
On the cloud. Yeah. So that is what did it. And so they just said, well, and as I was saying, they're going to pass it on to you at some point.
Yeah. It makes perfect sense.
There's your cost. Yeah. That's where it went.
Yeah. No, but, and look, and people should basically understand what they're asking for here, right? Before, when it comes to that cloud stuff, before you were complaining because you're comparing an Xbox in the cloud versus a PC in the cloud versus GeForce Now. And you were like, oh, why do they suck? Well, because it's a console in the cloud and a PC in the cloud. That's why the comparison. But if you want a PC in the cloud versus a PC in the cloud, now you got to pay the PC prices in order to get that performance. Makes sense. But
yeah,
exactly like GeForce Now, it sounds like they're rumored to be considering a free tier that's limited in scope and blah blah blah, just like GeForce has, right? So it makes perfect sense to me. That's neither here nor there. Look, the topic at hand in general, I will never say this is not the greatest deal in gaming and you should get it. You shouldn't get it. But where I used to be as full bore with that, I don't think I can be as much, because now it depends on the type of gamer you are.
Okay, it's fair. I mean, again, I always say this, folks. Your mileage may vary, and what I mean by that is depending on how you make use of the content that's being added to the service. If you are someone like me or like Hargeet, for instance, that downloads everything, gives it a try. If he likes it, he plays through it, he beats it, and he moves on. For me, I kind of know what I like. And, there are a lot of things in Game Pass that drop, like one of the more popular things are like somebody actually just said it, like, like the simulators. You have like the spray paint simulator. You have like the crime scene simulator, and they are chill games for a lot of people. They're not for me because I don't have the, again, I always tell you this. It doing the 5 shows gives me less time to play games. So when I can get games in, I get them in spurts of like an hour or two, and then I got to keep it moving. Something like Aliens, Rogue Incursion was perfect. 19-hour game. It took me to beat it. I started playing through it again on a second run because I want to mop up some of the achievements. Something like Dying Like the Beast. I'm playing that's a game that you can really sink like an hour or two, feel like you did a lot of things, and then come back to it. But again, your mileage is going to vary based on how well or how much you use from the service. And if you're not someone, and again, I would never sink down to the $15 tier. That's just me. I know there's going to be some people that said they have to, but if day and date isn't for you, like, and I think it's, again, I there's nothing I can say other than if you've been priced out, that kind of sucks. That's all I can say. And I can say just be a good consumer and look for a deal. Like right now, there's like an Amazon day going on. I told you about this the other day. I bought 2 additional cards at $56 each. Is it a big savings from the 60? Not really. It's a $4 savings, but is it a big savings from 90? It kind of is. So if you're someone that wants to keep the service, be a good consumer and obviously try and save a buck where you can. Like obviously, whenever I get it, I see a sale or I see something in Loaded, which is formerly CD Keys or Aniba. I throw it out on the socials for the people. Always be on the lookout. DM me, DM anybody. Like for instance, you just look at Hargeet. Hargeet, you paid up until 2030. That's work right there, folks. That's putting in the effort. But look, again, this is one of those topics. It is a self-made topic. It is something that I kind of wanted to get in front of because I do see a lot of people counting out the brand now. And I know one of the biggest conversations that I see on the socials is, well, I can't trust them anymore, Boom. So I don't know. I can't argue with that, folks. I'm not going to try and twist your arm, make you, believe Phil Spencer or Sarah Bond or any of the bigs. I believe them, and and maybe that's making me a fool. I don't think so. I know that there's a lot to be excited about, especially for the remainder of 2025. I know that there are going to be, and it will continue to be, negative stories. You don't have to believe every negative story you see or you read. Some people are going to report on the BS faster and better than others. And some people are just going to use the hate mongering to garner new subs, more super chats, and things of that nature, because that's how they work. Go to your favorite source, go to your favorite YouTuber or podcaster and hear what they have to say before all doom and gloom, because it's just been, it's everything with Xbox. And that's what I kind of lost my point before. If you just take a step back and you just look at how the 3 bigs are reported upon, right? Like Nintendo is never called out for their nonsense, right? Oh, it's just Nintendo, so they're Nintendoing, right? And people take it up as well, it's Nintendo. Sony does things, and they haven't done really anything super egregious recently. They just haven't been able to put out a lot of first-party games. And ultimately, the games do the talking for them. Xbox has delivered 10 times over this year, and they have 4 additional big ones coming out for the remainder of the year. And you never know. There could be a surprise drop. You just never know. But I just think that, there are way too many negative stories. And when you look at the way the 3 bigs are, again, reported upon, it's always, and it seems to be the running narrative, doom and gloom for Xbox, yay for everyone else. And it's unfortunate. I always tell you, don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe, folks. I like keeping it positive. And as you know, when there is smoke to be given to Xbox, we will deliver the smoke. As thankful I am as to being recognized by Microsoft and Xbox, I'm never going to bend the knee. If there's something that I don't like, I'm going to talk about it. And I think we've done a really good job at that, of that specific, negativity, because it was negative last week, and it was negative over the weekend, and it continues to be a little bit negative because there are things consistently coming in and out. But we're gamers, folks, and we should keep it light. We should keep it loose, and we should keep it fun. I'm sorry, we just there are too many games that are coming out, and specifically from Xbox themselves, to just consistently be negative about it. Again, if you don't believe what I'm saying, I don't know what to tell you. But let me just catch up on these super chats because there are 5 of them here. And the first one is wow, this is a big one, folks. Aris_EMS has done it once again, and he has gifted 10 double barrel gaming memberships. Brother, that is incredibly kind of you. Thank you so much for the generosity. There you go. Thank you. I appreciate that, Hargeet. We also have House Flan, who's been a channel member for over 2 years, 26 months. Brother, that is very generous of you. Thank you so much for that. He says the premium edition would be perfect if you could still do early access purchase of first-party games and not have to wait a year. Gamers don't play every game. That's an interesting thought. So the reason why you'll get the game within a year. See, this is where, again, as a consumer, I have a little bit of smoke because they don't specifically say, is it 3 months from the time of release? Like, and again, it's within the year of its release. So if a game comes out, let's say for shits and giggles, folks, that a game comes out in January, and you are premium, which is the $15 tier. You should know, or at least have the information, that in 3 months, okay, so I don't get this game on the offset, and that kind of stinks because I used to get the games for $20, but I can't afford 30, so I'm going to drop down to 15, right? You should know that in the next 3 or 6 or 9 months, you will get said game. Now, we don't know that. We don't know if it's a month, 2 months, or 3 months, or even 6 months for that matter. And they kind of got to clarify that. They really got to get in front of that. They said, if you look at in the fine print, it says within the year. So what exactly does that mean? I don't know, because we need the information, right, as consumers. But yeah, I mean, listen, brother, if I was rich enough, I'd buy Game Pass for everybody, folks, because I hate hearing those kind of stories. Gaming is something that I have been doing since I was a kid, man, and you know my story. My pops came home in '78 with an Atari 2600, and I haven't looked back. Like, I have been gaming since '78, folks. So I've always done my due diligence as a gamer to find a way to game. And right now, everything is so bloody expensive. Game Pass was like this super unbelievable deal. I still think, like I say again, for me, the $30, it's worth its price of admission, but I don't like the idea that they went up 50%. It's just an ugly thing, man. I don't know. I don't even have words for it, folks. I just think that ultimately it sucks. It just really does. But thanks so much, House Flan, for supporting the channel for as long as you have, man. I hope I answered your question. BT Maverick 707, which of course Kayasante and I and Hargeet as well got a chance to meet in person. Gentleman of a man. Great to have you here, BT. Thank you so much for the generosity, folks. He has been a channel member for 8 months, and he goes on to say, anyone watched Game Mess Mornings today? Matt Piscatella scoffs at the 300 million Black Ops 6 and said he doesn't know where they pulled that number from. It's funny. I did not see Jeff's show. I watch so many podcasts. I did not watch Jeff. I do, we have something here from Matt where he, I know there's a lot of stuff going around where the top 20 games, if you look at them, and that's across all 3 platforms. It might even be PC in there as well. Xbox, I think, Xbox first party has 5 of those 20 slots, which is a lot. When I said yesterday, if you guys and gals want to catch up, I had put out a video today. It was from yesterday where the question came up of whether or not it would be in the best interest of the consumers to have Call of Duty pulled from Game Pass. And the reason why I asked that question is because I heard Dirt Griggity and the crew on WBG say that. And interestingly enough, I did a poll live on the air, and I'm almost positive that 63% of the almost 300 people that voted was like, yeah, you know what? If I could get my Game Pass back down to $20, you can take Call of Duty. Bye. I was very surprised. Like, I thought it was going to be the other way around because I'm a Call of Duty guy. So of course I'm like, no. I want Call of Duty in there. It's first party. A lot of people were like, no, I'd rather pay $20 and not have Call of Duty. So I thought it was going to be a little bit more close, but it was really one-sided, to be honest with you. That 300 million, and give me a second, walk with me on here, folks. I'll be quick with it because we have another topic to get into. I don't know where that 300 million came in, because if it's upfront sales, which equates to about 4.2 million copies not sold on Xbox, then of course, yes, that's what they're talking about. But here's the difference, and here's the big problem that was absent from this Bloomberg report. What's missing are how many new subs did they get for Call of Duty Black Ops 6?
That always seems to just not be a part of the equation.
Wait, but it gets
like
better.
They added $1 billion in revenue.
They added $1 billion in revenue, and it's
so
here's my thing. Again, if you just, I'm a numbers guy, folks. You know that. Like I'm an evidence-based conversation kind of a dude, because you can have your opinion, but if you have numbers, factual, reported numbers, that's what it is. And there are a couple of interesting takes here, and maybe you guys want to jump in and throw your 2 cents in here. And this could have been a topic on its own. Here's what's not being reported. There was a report of Sony's top 20 games of the past 30 years, right? That made and sold the most. Do you know what showed up at number 5 on this list? Black Ops 6, right? We know that Black Ops 6 was number 5 on the top 20 most sold games in the past 30 years of PlayStation. Let that sink in. That is not a part of the conversation. We know that 83% of sales of Black Ops 6 was where? PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4. Makes sense. Huge communities there. But here are the 2 missing parts, Hargeet. And please jump in if you want. How many new Game Pass subs, right? That's the one. But here's the other, and this is the very interesting one. How many players who in their mind said, I got Black Ops 6 for free, because that's the mentality people have with Game Pass, and because they got the game for quote unquote free, they upgraded to the Vault Edition, which was $30. And I'm not going to, again, I said it on the air the other day, I'm not going to tell you folks how much money I have spent on skins. I have like 30 of them. Do the math. I love Call of Duty. So because there's a mindset of free in consumerism, someone who normally wouldn't buy DLC, wouldn't buy outfits, wouldn't buy skins, wouldn't upgrade to the Vault Edition, spent money. Where's that money being accounted for?
Well, if you look at the numbers from people like Matt Viscatello, they actually tell you that the game sold more than any other and made the most revenue of any Call of Duty in the history of Call of Duty.
Yeah.
And it sold a ton more on PlayStation and PC as well. And it's like, well, okay, so what happened? And that's why you get the comment. He's like, I don't know where they get this idea that it lost 300. Like, this is the most revenue that Call of Duty's ever made.
Yeah.
So where are you getting this like baloney? There's a lot of those things in there, right? On top of that, there's been so many of these, collaboration skins that have come in, right, with all these different characters, and that's been making the money. Now, there's a little bit of a pushback now, right? But yeah, I think people still pay. They still buy these things. Unfortunately, it's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So it's been doing well. Engagement is always great. It gives you more players and more, opponents, as it were, in the multiplayer capability, right? So it's always good, and people have been like buying this up. It's been fun. And I don't know why there's this always got to be some negativity towards Game Pass for everything, right? There's just this constant industry thing of like, it can't be this good. It can't. It has to die. It's like, why? Like, why can't you just accept it? Why does it? They've come out and told their freaking shareholders it's making them money.
Yes.
And you think they're gonna lie?
This
is a federal offense. You can't do it. Like, they're gonna lie to shareholders? You like what? Okay, fair enough. If you have evidence, please bring it forward, because I'm sure the government would love to hear it, because that literally is a jailable offense. Good luck. I just don't see how that's gonna happen. So, like, I don't know why it's so difficult to understand that it's working. It's working. And again, I told everybody why that freaking price went up. It's stupid cloud. And like, I would love to have that be an expansion pack. Have even take all the nice little subs and say, we're not going to do EA Play by default. We're not going to do Ubisoft by default. We're not going to do the Fortnite by default, or even the Riot games. Right? All of that is part of an expansion pack. Cloud enablement, all that. If you want to pay an extra, $20 a month, you can have all those bennies, right? But you can keep your base Game Pass, which has the basic stuff, the first, all the first parties are day and date.
Party, man, day and date, yeah.
And you get all the other games that come in, right? All that at PC Game Pass price. $16.
Yeah. I would have been down with that as well. Yeah,
that's what it should be.
So basically, what you're saying is a fourth tier customizable, because
just a base tier and opt in to a bunch of options.
Gotcha.
But there's a base tier.
So you have
like Amazon,
they
have
Nintendo does.
They have a bunch of or Nintendo, right? The base tier, and then you have the add-on if you want.
Exactly, and you have an add-on pack if you want the expanded stuff. Go for it, but you're not required to have it. Right? If you want the base Game Pass,
you just want to be a gamer and game. PC, that's it.
$16. You get their benefits, right? I think that would be awesome. And I think that's a fair price. But you want the extra benefits, pay the extra $20. You get the Ubisoft, you get the EA, you get the Fortnite, you get the cloud access, you get all that stuff. You want all that? Have fun. Enjoy. Pay the $20. I don't care beyond that. Like, people want a la carte. No, I don't even care about a la carte. Expansion, you want it? Go for it. You don't want it? Don't go for it, right? Give me the thing that I want, which is really just, I want Game Pass. Yeah, like, give me Game Pass with my day and dates. I'm good. I don't need beyond that. But either way, Call of Duty has to be in Game Pass. And we had these discussions, right? Because there were these rumors of, will they do it? Will they not? And I'm like, okay, I'll put out a hypothetical. What if, they put in Call of Duty, but Game Pass costs more? Are you okay with that? Everybody said, has to be in there. I'm like, okay. And I know they're going to do it anyway, but that's just that, right? And so now it's only in the ultimate tier. Fine. And PC, to be fair, we always keep discounting the fact PC still has everything at $16.50 is everything outside of Ubisoft Classics that I don't think is there, even though Jez's article said it was there. I haven't seen it, so I don't think it's there. And it doesn't have cloud access, right? So whatever. But I think most people would be happy with that. If you gave that $16 and said you have everything you need for your console with all the day and dates, everything, I think people would be very happy with that. You don't have the Ubisoft, you don't have the Fortnite, you don't. Okay, fine. You don't have the cloud, fine. You want the cloud, pay for it. You want the Ubisoft, pay for it. It's all in a bundle expansion pack. Enjoy. I would love that as the option, but anyway, I think Call of Duty absolutely is making money hand over fist. This year's incarnation, we keep hearing how, well, there's the other games that are coming. Okay, we will see. We will see.
They said
Whenever
every
Call
year,
of
and
Duty
every
comes
year it's
out,
the best-selling game. It just is.
Everybody jumps on it. I am far more excited about Call of Duty than I am about Battlefield. And I wanted Battlefield to be great, but the trailer they showed me for, because I don't play the multiplayer, the trailer they showed me for the campaign wasn't that enticing. It just wasn't that enticing. I was hoping for like story elements like they had with Bad Company, right? Like I was hoping for something, but they didn't really show that. Now, again, they have a chance to buy me. Is that out now? It's 2 days or 3 days. It's coming out, right? It's pretty close.
Coming out soon, dude.
Soon,
it's pretty close, right? I'm waiting for the reviews on the campaign. I don't care about the multiplayer, but my current feeling is I will probably wait until it comes to Game Pass through the EA Play, because there's so many games coming, and B, if the campaign isn't going to pull me, I'm not paying $70 for that game. I just don't care. I'm far more excited for the 4-player co-op in Call of Duty. That is very enticing. So we will see. But again, good luck to Battlefield. I hope it does really well. I hope it brings things to the industry that Call of Duty can learn from and do better. That would be fantastic for everybody, right? So let's see what they pull off. But I think the whole Battlefield 6 losing money thing was always baloney. We saw the numbers. It was the best-selling, freaking Call of Duty of all time. Like, how can that possibly lose money then? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And then the Xbox side of it, I'm like, they literally added $1 billion in revenue. They were touting how they went to 4 to 5. How do you say that's anyway? Whatever. I'll just
no. You know what? It's fine. Again, BT Maverick, you brought a whole topic into the conversation. Okay, before we continue reading super chats and we get into the Selena Khan situation, I do want to ask you though. So we got the TLDR that and it appears Hargeet was right, because he said it's anywhere between $8 and $30 per person for cloud.
Yep.
Now I don't use cloud, so I don't care. I don't use Fortnite. I don't care. I don't use. I pay for Ubisoft Plus already, so this is a waste for me. Do you think that the reason why this $300 million loss for Call of Duty came out was to somehow subsidize the or I guess back end the reason for the price increase?
I'm not sure that came out from Xbox.
No, I don't think it did, actually. I don't think it did. I think that came out from an outside source.
And because of that, I kind of feel like these conversations tend to always find the narrative and then cherry pick the information to fit said narrative. So it's not to say that I don't think it is possible. It is very possible. But because of the sourcing, because of the dubious nature of it all, I tend to err on the side of that's them finding what they can find to fit the narrative that they've already created. Gotcha. So I'm not very trusting of that information. Yeah, that's just me.
I mean, it's fair. It's definitely a fair thought. But look, let me just continue with the super chats, and we're getting into this last topic. First of all, Jay Slay in the chat drops a very generous $2 super chat. Jay goes on to say, "Boom, Vampire Survivors is getting online co-op." I saw that, dude.
Yeah,
Mr. BoomStick XL, just hit me up, brother. We got to get down with that, because that sounds amazing. And I think that's kind of what's been holding him up, because I know he's been promising multiplayer and co-op for a long time. I'm glad that it's out, but Ponicle, if you're listening, and I doubt that he is listening to this show, I would love to see a 16-bit Vampire Survivors. Like move up the bits. Like we're right now we're in NES land, and it was the great. I say this all the time, folks. There are two things that I would love to do: give Ponicle a hug and $100 out of my pocket into his, and thank him, because it's my favorite game of the last decade. I know you may not believe me. I have so many hours in that game; it's egregious, and it is some of the best fun I've ever had. And I love Vampire Survivors. Now that he's gotten the co-op out, I hope that he moves from 8-bit to 16-bit and kind of just continues to evolve like that. I'd love to see a Vampire Survivors 2. I really would. Hopefully we'll get some information. But shout out to you, Jay, for that, brother, and thank you for the generosity. And yes, I definitely got to get down with the multiplayer. That sounds fun. Gamer by Choice drops a very generous $5 super chat. He says, I feared Xbox would listen to people when they said Game Pass saved me so much money. I could buy games on other platforms, telling them to charge more. LOL. I mean, I hear what you're saying, but a person like me, and again, this is I love putting myself, on the front line. Like I always use myself as the guinea pig, so to speak. Yes, does Game Pass allow me to buy, a Switch game that I might have kind of held off on, or buy something for PlayStation? Sure, but honestly, for me, I buy a lot of games on Xbox. I mean, a lot of games, and Game Pass allows me to do that. Like in a month, let's just say, usually, unless it's a first party game from Sony, I don't buy anything. I just don't, right? Nintendo's different. Like Nintendo has their first party games. I buy a lot of their stuff digitally. I buy a lot of shmups. I like shoot 'em ups. So they are inundated with them. So I buy every time I see one that I like, especially from Japan, I buy it. Right? It's awesome. But most of my money spent in a month is actually on Xbox. Again, you saw the new controller for Outer Worlds 2. Shout out to JMO Money. He dropped it in my DM. The minute I saw it, I went and ordered it. I just got the Ninja Gaiden one, which the other day, which looked dope. I showed it out to to the masses. I think I did a good job with the design. Same thing with this. So I have extra money to do things like that, and that's because of Game Pass. I mean, you might be onto something, and you tell them, "Hey, it's a good deal. It's a good deal." They're like, "Well, it's too much of a good deal." I mean, that's just the way that they are. But Tempest Son, folks, oh my goodness, great to see you here. He is one of the founders of Primetime Gaming with Kay Asante, myself. We had an incredible crew. Well, he's been a channel member ladies and gentlemen, for 72 months. I think that's as long as the channel's been around. Shout out to you, Tempest, brother. Hopefully you and the family are doing great. He says, you are awesome, Boom. Still love listening to you guys. Have a great night, everyone. Brother, you are awesome, and thank you so much for the insane generosity, as you've always done. We appreciate it here. But, folks, this is a topic that I didn't see a lot of people covering. Okay, so the Game Pass information comes out, and it's a real ugly situation across the board. We're not going to regurgitate what our feelings. They're out in the open. We talked about it. None of us like it. We've given some ideas on how we could be better, how we could get more for less. There were things that were added for me personally that I could care less about. But Lena Khan, obviously, look, I am going to be respectful. She is a very educated woman. She was the head of the FTC. And one of the things that I have been banging the drum was, instead of being hell bent on blocking the deal, and that's all she wanted to do, she never once came to the table. And the reason why Game Pass is now $30 is ultimately on her, because she had the ability, after watching what happened in both of the European places, where one approved, one didn't approve. They went back to the table. Microsoft gave up a bunch of stuff. They approved. She saw what was happening. She was in contact with these other entities. She could have, if she actually cared about the U.S. consumer, which is you, Kay, myself, Kargeet, if she actually cared about doing her job properly, instead of the block hand, she could have said, okay, look, Game Pass, no increase for 5 years. And I guarantee you, ladies and gentlemen, Microsoft would have signed off on that just to get the deal done. And it would not have to have gone to judge the courts, and then one after another, and one after another. And it was such a long, drawn out thing that didn't need to be that drawn out. Hargeet, again, you and I were talking. This is not the biggest topic of the show, but it is one that I think we really I'm glad you brought it up because it does really shine the light on who's to blame for Xbox Game Pass going up, and it's ultimately on her doorstep because she came out and she was showboating and she was yeah, so you see, I told you those Microsoft cats were no good, but who you could have done something for this, but she did not want to hear anything, but it's blocked. And that's a big problem.
Yeah.
Let's get your thoughts, man.
Yeah, and it's not even the block. She knew it wasn't going to go. Like she was trying every possible way to just push it to create a precedent, right? And the reality is our courts were never going to side with that because we have rule of law. And we don't like the law does not state that I don't like it, therefore you can't have it. It's got to be anti-competitive. And there was no chance of that. The market's so large and they were nowhere near the top. So it's like, well, what are you doing here? So it was never going to get blocked, right? It got laughed out of the courts. So, this is what was always going to happen. But she wanted to do this activism thing instead of just advocating for us. She could have advocated for us. You already pointed out she could. The EU did. And the EU customers won.
Yeah.
Because the EU did do the advocacy. They negotiated. They said, here are our issues. Go make these deals happen. They went and talked to Boosteroid and all these other companies. They did all that because the EU said, we're going to do this only if you do these things for us. Right. So they got their deal because they had the leverage. It's much easier to sit at a table and tell the company you want this deal. Here are the stipulations. Otherwise, we'll have to go through some gyrations with the courts. They don't want the courts. They don't want to deal with that. So they'll accept it. It's so much easier. Like, what is it to them if they have to wait 5 years, 10 years to do anything? Okay, it's Microsoft. They literally have hundreds of billions in the bank. It doesn't matter to them, right? Lena Khan could have done the same. Goddamn, it just annoys me that she decided to take activism over protection of the consumer, which is her job. Her job is to protect us, right? And she could have easily said, 10 years, you can't increase the price by more than 20%. Where would we be right now? Think about that. At the time, I think it was only $15.
Yeah, it was 15 at the time. Yeah.
How much better off would we be if she just advocated for us instead of freaking activism? That's why activism kind of sucks, right? Her job was to protect us. Sit at the table. It's a big company wanting a big deal. Make as much concession as you can. That was the time to do it. Instead, we get what we get, right? Because she could have also said, you're going to keep your game prices the same. You're not going to fire more than 5% of your workforce. Like, she could have done so many things.
Yeah.
But no, it was about activism. It was about getting a win that was not going to happen. And it's like, dude, stop. Like, do your job. Just make the deal. There's so much more potential to have leverage with a large deal like that. Say, here are the things I need from you. And that could have been so much better for the employees, for us as consumers, for the industry. Like, why not? But oh well. Yeah. So I'm rather disappointed. And now she's coming around like, oh, I'd like to see it. No. Well, first off, it went up because of cloud, not because of ABK. But you could have stopped this increase. And you didn't do it when you had the power to do it. And unfortunately, now it's done. You don't have the leverage because the courts laughed you out of the courts. It's done. I really wish they had sat down and done something, right? The EU got the best deal out of all of this because they sat down and made a deal. That's it. It was just that simple. Even the UK had to relent. They ultimately just kind of caved because they saw the courts were not going in that direction. And they said, fine, now let's just fix it and let's do what we can to get this, patched up and working. So I don't even think their customers got the continuation, right? That if you just keep auto renewing, you get the old price.
You get the old price, unless you let it lapse.
They didn't get that in UK. Right. So it's like only the EU, because they sat down and negotiated. We could have had the same thing here. Oh well. That's the disappointment I have with her. And I, in some ways, I liked that she was doing some of the things for us as advocate of consumers. In some ways, it was like too much of activism and not enough of like practicality and pragmatism of get the best you can right now, instead of just trying to make these weird ass wins that are not going to happen. right? Like just stop, just get the deal. You could see where the winds were blowing. It's like, just stop. Like, go back to the negotiating table and figure it out, right? It's like, come on.
Well, you know what? Real quick, a shout out to the Ruham in the chat. He's always here, and I appreciate you being here. So I just want to answer a question. He says, are they serious? I guess they're okay with blame somebody else, but what Microsoft wants to do, brother, that's not what we're doing at all. Microsoft screwed the gamers. Let's call a spade a spade. No one is suggesting that they should not have any blame. What we are saying is that Lena Khan is out here. She's making herself very available for interviews, and she's going, you see, I was right to block the deal. But no, she is half-truthing it. And she did not put the consumer first. She did not. She had this, I want to be the one to block Microsoft, and she had a hard on for them. She did not put the consumer first. She put her own ideologies first. And this is why nothing got done. So unlike the EU and the and what happened there, she could
apparently Boom. Somebody in the chat saying that the UK got that deal too, which is fantastic. That's great.
Yeah.
See what happens when you negotiate.
So again, these countries negotiated. One approved it from inception. One blocked it. Microsoft came back to the table. They offered a bunch of stuff. They reversed it. They approved it. And then we waited for years for Lena Khan, instead of coming to the table and saying, okay, you made a deal with them. This is what I want for the U.S. consumer. No price increase. No, you can't decrease your workforce by more than 5% in this amount of time. There could have been parameters added to the conversation instead of just nothing. And that's what she wound up getting. She wound up getting absolutely nothing. And she spent millions upon millions of taxpayer dollars to get nothing. And I think why we're having this conversation is because obviously she's out, Kay Asante, in the public eye, taking these interviews and going, you see, they are an evil corporation. We know we know Microsoft wants to make money, and what happened sucks. And I have been banging the drum ever since it was announced that they were raising the prices. Folks, you can't even suggest that I'm okay with it. I have been out there on the socials and on my own shows banging the drum about how this is a bad deal for consumers. But okay, let's get your final thoughts before we get everyone out of here. And about Lena Khan becoming very available for the "I told you so" when ultimately she did not do anything to help the U.S. consumer.
So was she right about big tech being ultimately about the money? Obviously she was, but just because you're right about it doesn't mean that you get to make up your own rules and how to stop it, right? You have to use actual facts. You have to use precedent. You have to use the tools at hand to do it the right way so that it actually can be done properly and it'll solve the problem. Instead, she was being very haphazard in her execution just to get it done, right? And obviously it didn't work and it blew up in her face. Honestly, for me, this is beyond just what Lena's talking about right now. And you to me, you've nailed it right on the head. Even though she had some right in it, ultimately this was not her solution at all. This was not what she was about. Had she had the capability and when she had the capability to do something about it, she tried to go for the jugular instead of going for the consumer advocacy part. So it's not like you can now claim any kind of told you so, right? But where I always hark on this, right? To me, all of this, and I said this in my Discord this afternoon, to me, all of this is kind of like quick resume and smart delivery. It sounds like a buzzword until you start seeing it work, right? And what I mean by that is, like, ever since gaming went completely digital, I have been advocating that there be some kind of digital rights, like some kind of force people to come to the carpet, force folks to really make sure that they don't leave the consumer high and dry. A la, oh, well, we made a contract with you to charge you this for this amount of time. We decided to change our minds and you have nothing to say about it, right? Every time we talk about, hey, somebody should bring, we should take a look at it, people see the potential problems, and there are lots of problems. But because we let it lapse and then the people turn the page, it just tends to be status quo. And until situations like this, when others around us are just going, we're going to continue to enjoy our stacked Game Pass because we have stacked it for however many years now, and our regulatory bodies have ensured that we can continue to enjoy the price we were promised, right? Like this to me, this is a lesson that people should learn. Right. Even though there's a lot of potential pitfalls, and if it's a fraught with peril, right, it's worth doing because these are the moments that show you, man, we should have had something like this to back us up. And until you do, you're always going to be susceptible to these companies who, let's be clear, and I saw people in the chat saying, Microsoft is doing craven behavior. They are a company. They are inherently, like, it is their fiduciary duty to be as craven with money as possible. That is part and parcel of, like, the system, right? So it's not up to them to have a moral imperative. It's up to the regulatory bodies and those whose job it is to keep them at bay or to keep them at heel. It's up to those people, and obviously Lena Khan being one of them, right, at the time, to find ways of making sure they're representing our best interests. And clearly, as you can see, some places are better at doing that than others, which I think is so unfortunate. I hope we all as a community learned a lesson from this and not let perfect be the enemy of the good. We need something on the books. Otherwise, we always get screwed, as it were. You know what I'm saying?
You're not wrong. And again, listen, people are going to talk. Anti-Xbox content creators are going to try and spin that we're somehow defending the corporation. Folks, I have not defended the corporation since this whole thing was announced. It's preposterous. Just go back and listen to pull all the socials. I've been against this from inception. I saw what you said, Will. But listen, these people are just clowns, so it's perfectly fine. But yeah, the price increase, Microsoft is to blame. No one is suggesting otherwise. But again, the only reason why we're having this conversation is because Lena Khan has made herself very available for these interviews. And the first thing out of her mouth is, you see, I told you. But she did not do her job. That is why she was fired. And that's why she's no longer running the FTC. And ultimately, she failed as their leader. Because instead of getting a deal done like the other entities, she literally got nothing. She walked away with just nothing in her hands. And that sucks. But ladies and gentlemen, look, there has been a lot going on, but I think we've covered everything. And again, for the remainder of the week, there is a show tomorrow with me and C Money at 12. There is going to be a new episode of Breakfast at Boom, 10 a.m. on Friday. I put out a couple of videos today, one of which is, of course, talking about Call of Duty potentially being taken out. And again, I'm not for it, but you got to listen to it. You got to listen to that because I got a lot of messages from people like, hey, Boom, don't be that guy. I want it in there. I'm just saying it's a conversation that we have with the community, and there are more people than you think that don't care about Call of Duty that would rather it be out than have their price raised to $30. And again, tune in, check that out. I also put in a new video regarding the Rebs gaming reports on what to expect on the 24th of October, where we're going to potentially get 2 Halo announcements, which I am very excited for. Go check out those videos. And of course, a big thank you to all of the super chats, channel member chats, gifted subs that have come in today. Mrs. Boom and I do greatly appreciate the generosity, but let's get everyone out of here. And Hargeet, we'll start first with you, sir. Please sell the brand of your YouTube channel where they can subscribe to that, potentially buy the book you obviously wrote last year called Emergence? And more importantly, where could people find you on other podcasts? Because they're not going to find you on social media.
Yeah, so my channel's Hargy Chani 1 on YouTube if you want to check that out, and my book if you want to pick it up, shop.chani.us. I'll be on with C Money and Doodle on Friday at 8ish p.m. US Eastern Time. Check that out. With Fonz, we'll be back to go over this. I'm sure he'll want to talk about it. We haven't really had the conversation between me and him on the whole price increase, so I'm sure we'll get into that. 6 p.m. US Eastern Time Saturday on Fonz Gaming, and then Web Dave on Sunday at 7 p.m. US Eastern Time. And I'm sure we'll see what craziness comes in next week. We'll be back next Wednesday to check out the fun.
Well, I mean, you know, again, we have a lot. I mean, there's still a lot left of the year. There's going to be a lot of games coming out, not only from first party, but there are a lot of third party games that are going to be releasing on all platforms. And listen, there's a lot to get into. But Santa, let's tell the brand of the Gaming Circle podcast, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on Saturday mornings, where you and Everborn break down the biggest news bombs of the week. And I would imagine that there's a lot to get into on this Saturday show. So the brand, brother, where can people subscribe to your YouTube channel, but more importantly, follow you on social media?
Well, first and foremost, thanks to everybody who always comes here on a Wednesday. It's always great to be able to enjoy my hump day with you guys. You can find me, Asante, T Asante, on all the social media places we communicate. These days, I tend to spend a lot of time in Discord if I'm on social. So that is discord.gg/TGCP. Join the Discord if you can. Always fun to chat with people there. Or myself and Everborn Saga host the Gaming Circle podcast on Saturdays, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. This weekend, I don't think he will be joining us because he'll be at Comic-Con NYC, but I will most likely have a guest. Nice. I will also ask folks, check out thegamingcircle.com. We actually had MJ Dark put out a review for Chronos today, which was pretty cool.
Nice, dude.
Yeah, he put out a very well written article on Chronos on what he thought of it.
Hell, man.
Yeah. And he really loved it. He beat it 3 times. He loved that game. Yeah. So check it out. A review from somebody who really loves the game. You know, to see what you think about it. But yeah, I appreciate it, and we'll probably see you guys again next week.
Well, it's great to have you gentlemen back. Shout out to the chat. We had over 600 people watching live. Of course, if you did enjoy the content, or you are someone that enjoys the content regularly, consider subscribing. Mrs. Boom and I are on the hunt for 17K, and we can get there with your help. And again, it's just one of those things that, you know, we're always chasing a number. We'll get to 17 and we'll be like, okay, we're chasing 18 to get to 20, and then 25, and then maybe at some point 100. Folks, I don't know if I'm going to be alive that long, but we're going to give it the old college effort. We're definitely going to give it the college effort. So consider subscribing, but simply hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen, because you would be surprised how much that actually does help the channel. This algorithm thing is really wild, and they change it on the fly. But if we can get into the good graces of the YouTube algorithm through the likes, you find folks can help us get there. But thank you so much for tuning in. Again, I know that it's very easy to be negative. I know it's very easy to, you know, hate on Xbox, but I think that true Xbox fans, even though we're disappointed with the price increase, and, you know, obviously that I'm just never going to let that go. I cannot wrap my mind around it. A 50% increase it's egregious and on every level. And I hate the idea that there are going to be gamers that I talk with on a regular basis that can't afford it, that are going to be priced out. And it really does bother me. I know you'd be like, oh, well, why should you care? Because I freaking do. It's not just about me. I said that literally from inception, where I said, listen, I'm paid up for 3 years, but it's not about just me. It's about everyone else. And I do care. And I think all of you know that. But thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for tuning in. We super appreciate the generosity. We appreciate you tuning in, sharing it out on the socials, and of course, hanging out on any of the live shows that we do Monday through Friday. And of course, I'm going to close out the show with something that's incredibly important to me, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully one day will be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And he would say, Craig, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of Primetime Gaming with Mr. Boomstick and Friends.